Do you suffer from a lack of experience for the role that you desire to attain? Are you struggling to tell your story? Today, I'm going to help you solve that with 3 steps that you can walk through to practically and reasonably get to a place where you can tell that story that's going to bridge that experience gap. If you haven't subscribed yet, please go down below and subscribe, but be sure to hit that bell so you'll be the first to know. You'll be able to dive right back in there and get to the content. All about helping job seekers network with hiring managers. So it's all about helping you get to the table and tell your story effectively. One of the things that I definitely want to address is, why would I be somebody that you would go to as an authority on this particular topic? Over the course of the last couple of years, I've had the amazing opportunity to lead the career development webinar series for a Fortune 500 company. That enables me to write content around branding, networking, interviewing, things of that nature, and also to deliver that content to thousands of people per year. Now, also on a one-on-one basis, I offer career advisory to individuals who are seeking me out one-on-one. And many of those individuals in my corporate day job or in the other companies that I've started, CDEV Cafe or the Job Hackers Network, many of those individuals, they know that they want to attain something, but they don't feel like they quite have the exact experience of what they're trying to sell themselves forward for. And so walking them through a process to self-discover, to draw out, to write their stories, well, that's where these tips are really going to come into play. So we're going to walk through 3 very, very practical steps with some tips infused there. I want to help you get a little bit of a firm foundation in regards to what recruiters and what the hiring process is all about, what recruiters are trying to figure out. So as you're going into the hiring process, every piece of collateral that you put in front of an individual, from the spoken word to the written word, what people are trying to figure out is, how do you connect to the role that you're applying to? So what they're looking at is, would you be able to do the work? Have you done the work in the past is usually a pretty solid way to be able to tell if you would be able to do the work in the future. So this is why the experience really comes into play. Why are they looking for experience? Because it helps a recruiter, it helps the system, the recruiting system, a hiring manager, to say, okay, I'm pretty sure that because this individual has done it before, they're going to have a good probability, a better probability of being able to do it in the future. Now, that's not a perfect system. And everybody knows it's not a perfect system. But in that system, in the recruiting, the interview process, what you're trying to do is help an individual see that you have a higher odds, a higher probability of being successful in the role than other people. It is about probability. And so if you can connect the dots for recruiters, connect the dots in your resume and anything that you're putting in front of somebody who's interviewing you or in that process, that's where they're going to have peace of mind. And the more peace of mind and connection that they can see between you and the job, that ultimately is what's going to enable you to get the win, to be chosen in the end. Okay, so now let's dive into the steps to help somebody see that when you don't have the direct experience that they're listing down there on the paper. The first step, and this is a big one, right? There's only 3 steps, so it better be a big one. The first step is you've got to do your homework. And I understand the desire to skip this stage. I understand that you may be trying to go after a whole bunch of different jobs. Okay, well, one thing I would coach you towards is a lot of focus, right? Picking your target companies that you're going after and doing a little bit deeper research into those companies. It's always going to give you a better effect on the outset. But you've got to do your homework. Okay, so let's say that you're actually going out there and you see a specific role that you have an interest in. What type of homework do you need to do? You need to look at the job description. You need to read through that, and what you're trying to discover is this. Of course, it's going to tell you what the required experience is. It's going to tell you about the education that's required, the years of experience, things of that nature. But what you're really trying to discover is, what are the activities that are going to be performed in that job? Okay, what is it that the job is really all about? Because you need to know this, and you will later need to be able to speak to this and connect your experiences with the activities in the role. But another really big reason why this is important is because if you want to be fulfilled by the work that you do, then you need to understand the work that's going to be done in the role. Okay, if the job description is not deep enough, then where do you go? You go to what the company is saying about itself to start to understand who the company is. But you go to what other people are saying about the company to gain a little bit of a deeper, more realistic perspective of who the company is. Okay, use websites like Glassdoor to get some, I wouldn't say unbiased, I would say they're probably still biased opinions, but hey, at least they're often informed opinions about who the company is. The best way that you can understand who the company is and what the job really does is to network with somebody who's doing the job. Okay? So I'm gonna give you one trick there. If you reach out to somebody and you say, hey, I would love to soundboard with you. 5 minutes of your time would do me a world of benefit. People want to help people. So if you reach out to people and simply ask for their help, now not everybody's gonna help, but many people will. LinkedIn is a great tool for you to do that, for you to ask for that help. Get them on the phone. Don't send them your resume. Get them on the phone and then ask them about the company. Ask them about the role, the real activities that are being done in that role. Okay, so that's your first step. You wanna do your research to understand the true activities and the true nature of the job that you're going after. Now, the second step, this one's all about you. Okay, so let's disconnect yourself from the job that you're going after. This next stage is about you discovering who you are. Okay, and I want you to look at 4 particular things. I want you to look at your strengths. You're ultimately gonna write your stories, but I also want you to look at your accomplishments, and I want you to look at your attributes, your personal attributes. Okay, your attributes and your accomplishments are not always going to be exactly the same work that they're asking you to do in this new job. But you're going to find in the third step connection between who you are and the job. Okay, so let's work through these. The first one is you want to identify your strengths. I prefer the Marcus Buckingham version of what a strength is, the definition. I'm personally an individual who's certified to deliver the standout approach and to do some strengths-based training. And so what Marcus Buckingham defines a strength is an activity that fuels and engages you. So when you're doing that activity, you're being fed, you're being fueled. And research actually shows that if you're every day for a little piece of the day doing work that fuels and engages you, it's in your strengths lane, and overall about 20% of your time you're spending in that strength activity or strength work, you will be one of the most engaged individuals in the world, in the workforce. That's what defines or has the greatest attribute to an individual's engagement. That 20% of the time they're doing work that they love, that fuels and engages them, and they're doing it at least a little bit every day. So if you can figure out what that is, for me, I found that it's facilitating. I love to be in front of the camera. I love to be in front of people, one-to-one or one-to-many. And so that has become part of my story, which we'll get to the stories in a bit. Because I have learned about who I am, I know that if I have the opportunity to facilitate a little bit in my job, I'm going to be fueled and engaged. So you want to understand where your strengths are, the activities that fuel and engage you. And then ultimately, you're going to want to look at what you know about the role and say, hey, would I be able to do that work there? Or am I going to be getting in trouble or asking permission to do that work? Okay, there has to be correlation there for you to be fulfilled. Now, the next thing that you want to do is look at your attributes. Who are you? Who are you? For me, who is Ryan? You got to look at that and you have to know who you are, because ultimately in the interview process, that's what they're trying to figure out about you. Yes, they want to know if you can and if you will do the work, but they also want to know if they would love to work with you. They want to know who you are. So if you come in with this big bravado and this big ego, it doesn't always work out so well, because is that what they're going to be wanting to deal with every day? Now, if you come in and you know the attributes that you hold, right, the things that are important to you is that you're approachable. Now, that's not a skill. That's innately who you are. If somebody comes to you and asks for help, you're approachable, okay? So you may not have the exact job experience, but knowing that you're approachable, that you're an individual who has desirable attributes is something that can get you over the hurdle of the lack of direct, exact experience. Of course, to tell that story to somebody, you've got to put it in all the places they're going to see it. Okay, so I actually do, if you don't have the direct experience that's required of a role, I would recommend putting something on your resume that speaks to your attributes, not just the work that you've done. Okay, because the work that you've done is not going to get you by. So you're an individual who is adaptable, you're an individual who's flexible, you're an individual who has grit, right? You're resilient. Okay, these are all very, very desirable traits. They're attributes. The next thing that you want to look at is your accomplishments. What have you done that's really freaking cool? And I guarantee you, you have done some things that are really freaking cool. Even if it's not the exact same work that you're going to be doing in this job. Okay, so some things are transferable. We talk about transferable skills. If you have led projects before in the past, project management is a transferable skill set. Communication is a transferable skill set. Data analysis, transferable skill set. It might not be the same exact type of data that's going to be required in this role, but if you've done something similar in the past, that's where step 3 is going to enable you to make that connection. Okay? Now the fourth thing that you want to do, you've got your strengths, you've got your attributes, you've got your accomplishments, okay, the things where you delivered value in the past, and now you want to write those into some stories. Now for this, I've got a resource that I'm going to link down below, the Interview Storytelling Hacks. And the reason why I'm putting this down below is because this one is going to help you write your stories. It's a nice little one-page worksheet. It's free. Okay, just go to the website down below and you'll be able to grab that. And it'll walk you through the process of writing these things that you've delivered before into a very succinct story. What was the situation? What were the actions? What was the result? Boom, you've got your headliner, and now you can put it in your resume, you can put it in your LinkedIn profile, you can add it to your interview conversation that you're having or your networking conversation, okay? Now, if this content is proving to be valuable to you, then go down below and smash that like button. Show me that that is something that's really resonating with you. And also, think about adding a comment as well. Is there a particular thing, an activity, a strength that fuels and engages you? Tell us about it in the comments below. Okay? All right, so this third one, you want to connect the dots between what you know about the company, you want to know about yourself, and now the specific role that you're going into. Okay? So you may say something like, although I have not worked specifically with Linux, if Linux was a required, software, I have extensive experience with C++ and whatever it is. I don't know my software super well. But you're saying, although I haven't done this, I have a corollary set of experience that does show that I would be very, very capable of learning Linux. Okay? Although I haven't worked with a data set specifically in the realm of, people analytics, my work in system analytics has yielded these results. And that I will absolutely be able to transfer over here to people analytics. Okay, let's say you're a student and you're going after something that requires some project management skill set. Okay, it's project manager role. Now, think back to when you were in college. Did you work with a sorority and maybe you handled this big, huge luncheon with 300 people for fundraising? Well, that's a project. So in that project, you brought in stakeholders. You brought in people to help. You communicated. You brought this thing together and had 300 people come, and you were successful in the deployment of that project. Okay, now that's project management. That is directly applicable to any other type of project management as well, because it shows that you have the skills, the attributes, the ability to do the work, even though you don't have the exact experience to do the work. Okay, now let's say that you're going after a customer-oriented role, and you haven't been on the phones doing direct customer service, but maybe you grew up in restaurants or retail. Well, you were working with customers all the time and trying to please them and make them happy. So you show your servant nature and your connection to customers, even though the work and the experience wasn't exactly the same. Okay, so you can see how I've shown a couple of examples where the experience was not exactly the same, but the nature of the nature of what you needed to be doing, the attributes that you needed to have, they relate directly to that experience that you don't exactly have. Because again, as we talked about earlier, what is a recruiter? What is the The individual who's doing the hiring trying to figure out. They're trying to figure out, can you do the work? Will you do the work? And would they want to be working with you? Will you make their life better? If you can convince somebody of those things, then you're going to be a shoo-in for the role. Okay? It is not about having the exact experience for the role. It's about being able to show that you would be able to do it, that you are a fit, and that you want to do it, that you're eager to do it. So I mentioned it a bit earlier, but if you are interested in writing out your stories and getting some help with that, I'll put the link down below again. I'll also put it down in the description for the interview storytelling hacks. Very simple, straightforward worksheet to be able to write out your stories. Your stories are so critical to your whole interview process, your resume, your LinkedIn, every aspect needs the clarity of your stories, who you are and what you've accomplished, what you've done. Okay, that is so critical. Now, if you're in the place where you're ready to shift gears and you want to start landing meetings, landing conversations directly with hiring managers, shoot me a direct message on LinkedIn is the best place to get a hold of me. And let me know. We can jump on the phone for 30 minutes and we can have a conversation about how I can help you with just that. Thanks for allowing me to invest in you today. I want to point you back to a video that I did last week, Staying Positive in the Job Search, and I'm going to go ahead and link it right up here, or put that picture right up here. Click on that and you'll go back to that video. This one's important because it allows you to secure your mindset. You've got to protect your mindset as you're going through the job search and maintain your value, your perception of yourself. Like, maintain yourself as you're going through your job search. So go ahead and watch that video. It will be tremendously helpful to you, and I'll see you in the next one.